Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be going over something that I've been thinking a lot about over the last few weeks. If War Thunder's monetization is predatory. I feel that based on the responses to a poll that led me to this video, I will be getting a lot of feedback and counterpoints to my argument. I greatly appreciate that feedback, as my take on this issue may be substantially different than some of your viewpoints, but I strongly encourage you to get beyond the early and middle portions of this video, as my view on this subject is a bit deeper than simply yes or no to the question. Many people might think that I disagree with them early on in this video, but will end up agreeing with me wholeheartedly by the end of it. So just keep that in mind and reserve judgment until you've heard me out. And if you have any comments, critiques, or simply thoughts, post them in the comments below. I'm the type of person that will change my viewpoint based on credible and well thought out counterpoints, so you may just be able to sway me if you make a logical argument in the comments. I do read them. That said, again, this video is about the question on if War Thunder's monetization is predatory. I have a lot to say, so let's jump into it. Now, this video stems from a recent poll that I ran where I asked, does Gaijin have predatory monetization in War Thunder? Over 22,000 people responded, and it was very one-sided. Obviously, this drew a big response because people are invested in this game in terms of both money and time. There were some excellent comments putting in their points, with many of the top comments citing increasing repair costs in the game, especially as you progress through higher tiers, as basically forcing you to buy premium time, premium vehicles, or both. You know what? Actually, just because this seems to be an issue where people don't have premium accounts, I'll turn this video into a giveaway right now. I'm giving away 5 prizes of either 20 days of premium time or 1,000 golden eagles. It's your choice. All you need to do to enter is to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and of course, comment with your exact in-game username and which reward you would prefer. Gaijin does not allow gifts to go to PSN users, so they are unfortunately excluded from this giveaway. But everyone, go ahead and let me know. Also, don't forget to write your opinion about this video in your comment. Rewards will be given next Saturday, July 23rd, around 12 p.m. EST. Remember, in-game username in the comments, like this video, and also subscribe to my channel. I figure that, if nothing else, I can hopefully help to make a dent in this issue of premium time, at least for a few people. Now that said, let's get back into the video. It seems like many people lack the resources in-game to progress beyond World War II vehicles, and as such, are forced to buy premium things from Gaijin. I could see where some people view this as predatory. Is it? I'm personally not sure. But one could certainly argue that War Thunder becomes more pay to play depending on your skill level as you progress through tech trees, as costs begin to accrue far faster than you can accumulate in-game resources like Silver Lions and, to an extent, RP. This, for me, doesn't appear to point to a predatory system. Rather, it points to a worsening economy, as this issue, while it has always been present, seems to be occurring more often, as vehicles are becoming more expensive to repair and you have more vehicles in any given tech tree. When tanks first came out, for example, and I wish I had a screenshot of it, I had a very straight and easy line to the Tiger 1. Now there are probably numerous times as many vehicles between the reserve tank and the Tiger 1, making it so that you have to purchase and possibly crew all of those vehicles in order to progress. In some ways, this is kind of like the baby boomer versus millennial argument, in which baby boomers, the old timers in this case in War Thunder, had a much easier go of it, and you have to recognize that you had a much easier go of it than people just starting to play now or recently. These vehicles that you have to purchase but you don't play them are essentially taxes in War Thunder, which again, I'm personally not sure if it's predatory, but it is the sign of a non-player friendly economy. Back in the day, if I'm not mistaken, you didn't have to buy every main vehicle in a line in a tech tree in order to progress. Maybe some old timers can back me up or correct me here, but you used to be able to simply research a vehicle, not purchase it, and then research and buy the next one in the line if you chose to do so. With this being thrown out to make way for more mandatory purchases, as well as the fact that, again, there are way more vehicles now than there used to be even just 2 or 3 years ago, it has become much more difficult to progress. 500 hours of gameplay nowadays does not get you nearly as far through a tech tree as it would have 3 or 4 years ago. Again, is this predatory? I'll let you decide, but it points to an economy that has had insidious changes made in the background that, over time, have nudged people to being forced to buy premium accounts or vehicles. While it seems like I'm sitting on the fence thus far, I'll now dive a little bit deeper into some solid opinions on this issue. Now, for me, the most predatory thing, one could argue, is the loot box system, wherein Gaijin has you pay for loot boxes that take advantage of the urge that people have to gamble. And I have actually several of these videos, if you ever want to watch. They show the actual odds of getting items. I probably opened up hundreds of the marketplace loot boxes and have only gotten one vehicle. So that's hundreds of dollars for a single F7, F3 if I'm not mistaken. Now that said, there are two different types of loot boxes in game typically. You have the item store loot boxes and you also have the marketplace loot boxes. Now that being said, going back to the loot boxes, and for right now I'll be talking about the item store loot boxes. So basically nowadays you have clear time limits on how long each vehicle is in the slot. It was not always that way. Nowadays, Gaijin's like, hey, you know, you only have X amount more days in order to purchase this vehicle by gambling for it. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it in, like, let's say 5 or 6 days or whatever. And that is to take advantage of the fear of missing out, which is a big thing in War Thunder right now, especially when it comes to events, but I'll be getting into events in a few moments. Additionally, with the marketplace, Gaijin takes a percentage of the total of GJN that people make when selling an item. But that's what it takes for Gaijin to ensure that a continual stream of new money comes into that system so that they can profit, rather than just simply pay out to maintain servers and pay for upkeep for a non-profitable system. I don't really have too much of a problem when it comes to GJN, having a portion of that being basically taken out whenever somebody sells an item on the marketplace, but it does kind of suck for the player. With that said, one could argue that Gaijin has been introducing gradually worse practices in the economy that drive people towards their paid features. For example, with the April chests, we saw a bunch of people buying these essentially 60,000 silver lion chests en masse, getting nothing, and then being depleted of all of their silver lions, forcing them oftentimes to have to either buy a premium vehicle, premium time, or simply straight up purchase silver lions with golden eagles to make their money back. A few months ago, when Gaijin announced plans to put timers on all existing boosters that people own that don't have timers on them, that would have increased how many boosters buy in the item shop, even if just slightly. Thankfully that didn't happen, but it was close. Heck, Gaijin even took away golden eagle wagers, of which I still have plenty of because I haven't used them in a while, and you used to be able to actually earn those just from simple logging in. Further, it seems like each consecutive sale in regards to pack vehicles sees a reduction in the quality of the sale. Not entirely and not always, of course, but it feels like there are fewer discounts nowadays on a virtual product that they literally don't need to manufacture, but instead these are basically just packets of code for people to use in matches. And more what I mean by this is that, let's say for example, a water bottle. You have to get the materials for that, whether it's aluminum, plastic, whatever the case may be, ship it out, whatever. All that Gaijin has to do is basically maintain this code and then give people access to it. After the original creation of a model is done, that's it. You know, they just have to more or less maintain their access to that model in order to sell it so that other people can have access to it. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but it's a pretty easy thing with a high return. Heck, even their most recent update, Danger Zone, saw a huge amount of premium vehicles, especially pack vehicles, to be released. And I think there were like 5 pack vehicles. All of them were $60. Maybe one of them was $50 and the rest were $60. None of these vehicles, however, offer an outright advantage over any other vehicle in game. Some exceptions do occur, such as when the Harrier GR1 was first released, but this happens with non-premium vehicles too, such as the Sagittario and the Puma. These vehicles, especially in the case of the Puma and the GR1, typically see a swift increase in BR that helps remedy to how OP they are. Regardless, I don't necessarily feel that Gaijin monetization practices, at least in the senses that I've been talking about them thus far in this video, are predatory, as you can technically unlock pretty much everything for free, albeit of course through much and increasing effort as you progress through the game. This includes even marketplace vehicles, of which you can purchase if, for example, you unlock a vehicle during a crafting event, sell it on the marketplace, and then use your GJN to purchase either another marketplace vehicle or some sort of premium pack or GE based vehicle, as Gaijin allows you to do that. For the most part, the only thing that Gaijin's monetization does is to give you the tools to unlock vehicles or mods for vehicles more quickly, the latter of which does, to an extent, give you an advantage in-game over people who do not spend money. Because of course, APF SDS shells that you were able to research more quickly because you have a premium account are better than Heat FS shells that somebody is stuck with if they play for free. Now, insofar as prices are concerned, I do agree they are a bit high. Personally, I don't see how $60 is the top tier price for a vehicle like the XM1 or something similar. when Gaijin literally only again had to model it once. Albeit the modeling process does take a few weeks and quite a bit of work, they have to update it occasionally and that's pretty much it. They don't have to manufacture anything, and they have a vehicle that they can sell for use for $60 or $40 or $20 or whatever they want to sell it for. Even if the price was $100 for some of these vehicles, such as the F-14, and let's just say if they just said, hey, you know what, if you just want to skip straight to the F-14, you can do it, people will purchase it. Gaijin can set their price to be whatever they want because they have the market data that shows that people will buy at X or Y price before they refuse to purchase. I'm sure they've hit the perfect equilibrium between price and how many people are willing to pay, ensuring maximum cash flow. This, while not fun for us gamers and or consumers, is not necessarily predatory because there is literally nothing in War Thunder that requires you to purchase a premium vehicle to advance in-game or to be better. No premium vehicles are necessarily better than any of their non-premium counterparts, with maybe one or two exceptions such as the WMA 301 being ridiculous and the Term 3. But that's all that I can really think of, and that's even debatable. One good thing that I can say about Gaijin's monetization is that their premium account is pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking, at around $10 per month if you buy it at full price in-game. If you buy it while on sale and on their website, it can drop below $5 per month, oftentimes even less if I remember correctly. In comparison to another big game in this genre, World of Tanks, or any of the World of Wargaming games, War Thunder is quite the bargain. I actually did a huge comparison video between World of Tanks and War Thunder that I may link below if I remember, but if memory serves, World of Tanks had far more expensive items and especially more expensive premium time. There were also far more things in game that were monetized and would give a direct benefit in game, such as purchasing a shell rammer that gives you a faster reload, or a camo net that can decrease the range at which people see you, or tons of things really just like that, probably about a dozen or even 24 such items. These things literally give you an advantage over other players, whereas no such thing exists in War Thunder, with again the only possible and very distantly related thing is that you could purchase and research modules more quickly with premium time, and that you can purchase crew points with GE. Otherwise, that's it. That's the extent of pay to win with War Thunder as compared to World of Tanks. I would go more into it, but my notes were literally destroyed in a fire, as that was the last video. Thankfully, I was able to release this video because it took me like 60 hours that I was able to release before my old computer was destroyed. Regardless, and obviously the sins of one game do not wash away the sins of another. I'm not saying that, as War Thunder does have its own problems and is pushing people further and further into feeling like they need to buy things with real money, or are simply giving you less return on investment with real money. Battle Pass in War Thunder is a great example of this, as you can track that with almost every single season, Battle Pass has gotten worse in terms of the BR of the reward vehicles, arguably with also the quality of the reward vehicles, and in the most recent season as of the recording of this video, Armored Elephant, we are seeing one less vehicle as a reward with Battle Pass while it costs the same as it always has. So yes, many aspects of War Thunder are worryingly beginning to focus on monetization to a noticeable degree. We are seeing less and less return from the same dollar spent even from months ago. It seems like more things in-game are becoming modified, such as the economy and the reduced rewards that you receive in general from matches, in order to push you towards having to spend money in War Thunder. This sort of thing is not cool, but it is unfortunately inevitable. Whether Gaijin does it or not, it will come out as a crawl and will be implemented likely over months, in such a small way that with each passing update, people will get upset about it and then forget about it. And then the economy/monetization model is worse to the point where it would have been unrecognizable even 2 or 3 years earlier. That's what I fear. I don't think that War Thunder is presently predatory in terms of their monetization, but I feel that they are on the precipice of either going down that rabbit hole or staying a relatively player-friendly game, and based on recent decisions, I fear that they are doing the former rather than the latter. If they continue to gradually change the game, especially by modifying aspects of it that we all have used since the game has been out, I fear that it will reach a point where the average player is no longer interested in swirling around the toilet with each event and will eventually decide to just leave. Speaking of, and this is something I've yet to touch on, but feel that needs to be mentioned, the constant events. Holy cow, they're getting ridiculous, and they are becoming either more difficult or more monetized with each passing year. For example, the requirements in Operation Summer used to be that you needed something like 12 kills or maybe even 11 in a match of Air RB to get a task done, and it has since increased by 1 or 2 over the last 4 or 5 years. Another example is that base bombing, the task used to be requiring 10 tons of bombs to be dropped on enemy bases in air matches. Now it's something like 11 or 12 tons. This might not seem like a large increase, but to mid-lane players, especially those that either don't have bombers or have research into a tech tree that has mainly light bombers, I am sure that it has created a greater amount of purchases of the stars that you can buy with GE that, if I'm not mistaken, are 999 GE each. Or if you just don't have the time, or you forget that you didn't get to 11 or 12, maybe you've reached a ton less than what's required, that sucks. Essentially, by making these more difficult, they make it so that fewer tasks are completed, making it so that people feel that they need to go out and buy and spend more GE to complete these events. Much the same goes with crafting events, as you needed something like 2, or if I'm not mistaken, 3 items of the same type in order to craft a marketplace equivalent that could be traded on the War Thunder marketplace. In the past, if I'm not mistaken, I thought it was either 2 items to make a marketplace equivalent, or even just 1. Again, let me know in the comments below, because some of these things are just going off of memory. Heck, even just now, as I write this, I'm remembering how in the past, most, though not all, reward vehicles during Operation Summer and Winter events were premium vehicles. This is no longer the case, as the percentage of premium to event vehicles for these events is now around 50%, as the top rewards are all event vehicles, meaning that you no longer receive premium RP and SL bonuses from the highest BR vehicles that you unlock during these events. Also, bombing bases in air battles now gives lesser rewards, per a recent economy change. I'm sure there is much more to it, but the last however many minutes dedicated to how War Thunder has continually changed in insidious, less noticeable ways in order to edge people towards monetization is important to know. While this game is not predatory, again, in my opinion, in terms of monetization, at least outside of the loot box mechanics which prey on people who have addictive gambling issues, it is inching further and further towards a game where you essentially have to pay in order to do anything. And that's almost as bad as predatory monetization, in my eyes, as this game will have lost its soul at that point. So no. Do I think that War Thunder is predatory? No. But I feel that their economy is getting to the point where one could argue that if your definition of predatory monetization is forcing people in a free-to-play game to buy premium things, then yes, it is getting really close towards that, unfortunately very quickly. Now, I'll just do a real quick comparison here at the very end with Diablo Immortal. That is a game that recently came out and I play occasionally, and that has predatory monetization 100%. And essentially, their monetization model works out to where if you want to play PvP, so if you want to face other players in game in Battlegrounds, what'll happen is if you do not literally spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars in order to get the best loot, and these loot things like these gems, for example, these legendary gems are totally randomized, so you could spend hundreds or thousands of dollars and not get anything good. And just based on average drop chances, people suspect that you have to pay either $40,000 or $100,000 plus in order to be the best insofar as your gear is concerned. But that being said, if you want to participate in Battlegrounds and not be completely wiped out, you pretty much have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars. Whereas War Thunder, you can literally just hop in, play for free, and if you don't really mind playing low levels or even up to mid-tier for the average player before they start running into economy issues, you can still play it. You know, it's not like you're given an advantage, again, necessarily. You could make an argument for the modules, where those give an advantage, or crew skill, because those do certainly give an advantage. I mean, somebody who has a 0.3 second better reload than somebody else is definitely at an advantage, especially if they click as soon as they're reloaded, but that's not really all too big. It's still well within the realm of human error, right? But you're not talking about a 20% difference in how good somebody is just because of how much money they put into the game. Typically, these are very small differences. Typically, not entirely, but typically in War Thunder, they're very small. Whereas other games, again, like Diablo Immortal, even World of Tanks, again, if you'd like, check out that video in the comments below or the description below where I compare World of Tanks and War Thunder. But there are much larger differences between people who pay to play and people who do not than what we have in War Thunder. So thus far, and I'm not being paid by Gaijin to say this, I am a content creator and a partner with them, but I'm not afraid to kind of just call them out where they need to be called out. I feel that they are still currently in a pretty decent enough spot, but we're coming to a crossroads where we have to decide whether or not we're going to let Gaijin continue to make this into a more predatory game in terms of monetization, or call them out on it and keep it at least as far as it is right now, and that's it. because where the game is right now isn't all too bad. You can get premium time, you can do this, that, or the other thing, and you're not going to be in a bad spot, especially if you want to progress. But I fear that in the next few years, this game will just become all about money, 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 and people will be given direct advantages if they pay more for the game. And I hope that day never comes, because when that day comes, War Thunder will die. But that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Seriously, comment on this. Give me your full opinion. I want to hear it. And don't be afraid to just really critique my own opinion, because that's how I grow as a person, and that's how I grow as a content creator. I want to have the best opinion, the most informed opinion out there, and every single one of your voices helps me to become that person, to become the best content creator possible. So I want to hear it, want to hear what you guys think. And again, definitely if you'd like, participate in that giveaway. It ends next Saturday at 12 p.m. So Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, again, the 23rd, around 12 p.m. I'll be giving away 5 total rewards with either 20 days of premium time or 1,000 GE, depending on whatever you prefer. But either way, thanks again so much. Please like this video if you'd like, dislike it if you dislike it. I hope you don't dislike it. Comment on it, again, with your opinion, and subscribe, because subscriptions would be totally rad, and that would be awesome. But either way, thanks again. I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.